So hello and welcome to our guided meditation. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, the spiritual leader for the Center for Spiritual Living at Los Angeles. This morning's meditation is focused on a reading from the book 365, Science of Mind, a year of daily wisdom from Ernest Holmes, the founder of the teaching of the Science of Mind. On January 17th, 2018, which is today, but for the day, January 17th, this is what is written. I loose all condemnation. Using the Bible quote from Matthew 6:12, this was written, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. So with that in mind, let's all begin to center ourselves in preparation for this meditation. A reminder that a meditation is an inward journey. It's listening to the voice within of intuition or spirit speaking to us, nudging us to be aware of something that we need to be aware of in our life. We give ourselves permission so that our soul or our psyche or our consciousness or our being may present to us images or symbols or whatever may be calling forth from within to be addressed or released. Today's focus is releasing condemnation. And so I invite you to become comfortable in your location while choosing to sit upright with your spine elongated, gently closing your eyes and allowing yourself to become aware of your breath pattern. As we inhale to the count of 4, 2, 3, 4, holding it for a moment, choosing to believe it's in this place that creation or release takes place, we now exhale. 2, 3 to the count of 6, 4, 5, and 6. Continuing with this pattern, and with our eyes closed, peering into the back of the optic screen, we begin to see ourselves moving into a lotus position. Either literally or metaphorically, with our legs crossed, our palms facing upwards on our corresponding knees and ankles. Beginning to envision that golden cord of life that elongates itself, moving up from our heart chakra, up through our throat chakra, up through our third eye and out through our crown. Extending itself out into the ethers of the universe. With each breath and heartbeat, we see it extending further and further. Now realizing that we can no longer see this golden cord of light, yet we still feel its presence. Staying connected to our breath as we inhale, 2, 3, 4, holding it for a moment, and exhaling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We now begin to feel this golden cord of light as it returns to us, appearing back through the ethers of space, as it returns back into Mother Earth. Moving back into our root chakra, back up past our solar plexus and our sacral chakra, returning back to our heart chakra. Being conscious of our wholeness, we hear these words. As Jesus, the great teacher, said, we should not judge, lest we be judged. He was stating the action of the law of cause and effect. If we wish and desire a complete clearance from any sense of condemnation about ourselves, we must first be certain that we have released all condemnation of others from our own minds. When we do this, we meet others in a new light and reaching past all judgment and criticism. We establish a relationship between the spirit that is within them and the same spirit that is within us. For God is one in all people. We begin to see in our mind's eye this light, this new light that is being called forth through this releasing and loosening of condemnation in our psyche and our soul. Looking into our optic screen, we begin to allow an energy field or a color to be made present that represents condemnation. Whether we're consciously aware of any action in our life of condemning ourselves or others, we use this opportunity in this meditation this morning to loosen that in our consciousness, whether aware or not, that it exists. And release it today. As we move into that place where we know that we know that we know that we know that the law of cause and effect is always working. And so should we be focusing on condemning ourselves or others? Cause brings forth an experience of self-condemnation, which is the effect. And so seeing this color or this image or this light of condemnation that has existed in our consciousness, whether acted upon or not, we begin to see it changing color as we see the divinity as the oneness of life. Just as water turns to ice when frozen, we see an equal transformation of the color or symbol of condemnation as it turns to light and to love, both being synonyms for the power of the divine. As we begin to remember in that place that we know, that we know, that we know, that we know, that the light and the love of God exist equally in and as all. And so we begin to bring up in our mind's eye someone of late that we have issued condemnation to, whether that be verbally or through thought. Whether it be someone we know or someone we've seen from afar or on the street. Whether it be someone that we've issued this condemnation without them even being in our presence. We begin to see the face of this individual. And we begin to see that color or symbol of condemnation that we've placed upon them, residing somewhere in their being, whether it be in their consciousness or their eyes or their throat or their heart. As we begin to look at them, we begin to see that that same condemnation symbol or color exists in the same place within us. We begin to see in our mind's eye the golden cord of life, of light, that extends between one ball or energy of condemnation and the other, reminding us of the law of cause and effect and the connection of the oneness of life. We begin to transform this color into the light and love of the divine. Just as water turns to ice when frozen, the same takes place when we choose love and light, both for ourselves and the other. And healing ensues. So we take a deep breath in through our nostrils, inhaling to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding it for a moment. Trusting the healing has taken place, we exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Allowing our mind to move on from this healing. We begin to bring forth in our mind's eye a person who lives on the street, and all conditions appear that they are less than. Knowing that it is possible that we issue condemnation in looking at this individual, we begin to bring them forth in our mind's eye, choosing in this moment to see that ball or color of condemnation that we've issued as it resides within them. The effect of that which we have issued. We now begin to see that same color or symbol residing within us. Remembering that the great teacher Jesus said that we should not judge, lest we be judged. Addressing the law of cause and effect as we begin to look at this individual, where all appearances seem to be less than the oneness and the love and the light and the pureness of the divine. We now begin to see the golden cord of light, of life, connecting us. And choosing to now see the light and love of the divine within that individual as it is within us. Through our breath, we begin to shift from condemnation to the oneness and the light and the love of divine. Just as water turns to ice when frozen, so does the healing begin in this moment through our breathing. As we inhale, 2, 3, 4. And we exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Feeling the energy of healing and transformation that has taken place. We now begin to bring into our mind's eye an individual or a loved one that we know consciously we have issued condemnation to. Whether verbally or in writing or spoken ill of them to others. We bring up their face in our mind's eye and begin to see the wholeness of them. The physical body and the face and the being that they are. As we connect to this energy of judgment that has been issued and of condemnation that we've issued to them from our lips or our tongue or our mind. We begin to see within them this ball of energy or symbol of condemnation. Realizing that this effect does not reflect the pureness and the oneness of life that exists in all. But we begin to see the same ball of energy, of condemnation, and of judgment that exists within us for having issued that to them. So we now begin to see the golden cord of light or life that connects us to them and them to us. We consciously choose in this moment to release all condemnation and judgment, loosening it from our consciousness and any guilt that we may have had for issuing this judgment or condemnation. As we inhale, 2, 3, 4. Holding it for a moment, we begin to see the transformation from condemnation to love. As we exhale, 1, 2, 5, and 6. We see the healing that has taken place just as water turns to ice when frozen. We begin to feel the effects of the layering of healing that has transpired this morning. As we take a deep breath in and exhale. Staying connected to our breath, we inhale and exhale. In our mind's eye, we begin to see an image of an individual that is beginning to appear before us, that we know in every fiber of our being that we have issued condemnation and judgment to. And as this image becomes clear, as a mirage would become clear, we begin to realize we're looking at ourselves. And choosing in this moment to let this be the moment. That we release condemnation and judgment from ourselves to ourselves. Letting go of any harm or pain that we've caused ourselves. We begin to see this symbol or ball of energy showing up within our own heart before us of condemnation or judgment. As we then begin to see it equally in the other side of ourselves, as we look at ourselves, looking at ourselves. We begin to see this ball of energy of condemnation or judgment that exists in each heart of ourselves. The one that we're looking at and the one that is looking back at us. Feeling how this energy is out of alignment with our divine nature. And seeing the golden cord of life that is connecting us to ourselves and to the oneness of all life. We take a deep breath in. Holding it for a moment, beginning to see the transformation just as water turns to ice and frozen. We exhale. During this exhalation, we see the transformation and healing of love and light that exists within ourselves. Choosing to no longer judge or condemn ourselves. And the layering of healing has taken place. As we sit in this transformational energy, with gratitude for having the option and the opportunity to transform condemnation and judgment into love and light. And by releasing all condemnation and judgment from our consciousness, from our thoughts, from our actions, in this space that is now open in our consciousness, we allow these words to take root. Knowing that the one power, God, must be at the center of every single thing and every single one. and realizing that the law of the divine is the great motivating power of life. Today, I know that I am meeting this power, this source, this God in everyone and everything, and seeing the manifestation of love in everyone and everything, including myself. Knowing that if there's any more condemnation or animosity in me, I gladly loosen it and release it. And let love be present. Love is present. And so letting this imagery of this meditation be the guiding force as we move forward throughout our day and the days ahead. We take a deep breath in as we hold it for a moment. Exhaling. We begin to bring ourselves back into the awareness of the world around us. As we breathe in again, holding it for a moment, and exhale. So we begin to open our eyes and see the world anew. Wiggling our fingers and our toes and removing our legs from this lotus position as we stretch out our arms. And let out one big exhale. We meet and greet that which is before us as we stay together. And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.